Hello and welcome. You're watching Race to Power. My name is Mohammed Saleh, and on the show today, Trump's space-themed aliens.gov website is actually, believe it or not, an immigration enforcement website with some classic UFO-style disclosure language and also some sci-fi visuals. Why is Donald Trump trying to equate undocumented immigrants with extraterrestrial life? And in Karnataka, it is an end of an era as Chief Minister Siddaramaiah steps down as the Chief Minister, and the new Chief Minister will, of course, take charge pretty soon in the state. But let's, of course, start with this big story from the United States of America, where the midterm elections in the United States is less than 6 months away. So as the clock ticks, both Republicans and the Democrats are trying to push through the redrawn maps in their respective states. Now, the latest state that is making headlines is Louisiana, where state House representatives have approved congressional redistricting, a move that benefits the Republican Party. Now, the move comes a month after the U.S. Supreme Court struck down a previous version of the redrawn map. Now, for Louisiana, the approval heads to the Senate in the state. In the state of Alabama, which also has a Republican administration, a federal court has struck down the redrawn congressional map for the state. The decision comes as a setback to the Red Camp after a court injunction has stopped Alabama's administration from using a new map that favors the Republicans. But Alabama's officials have asked the top court to allow it to use the map that the state had adopted back in 2023 for the upcoming midterm elections. The Supreme Court bench is expected to announce a decision on the matter next week. The stakes are also very high in South Carolina, where the Republican-led Senate is trying to redraw the congressional districts in favor of the party. But the state Senate's vote on redistricting had failed this past Tuesday, and several senators are of the opinion that it is simply too late to change the district lines. Now, congressional redistricting is a move that was first made by the Republican Party with the backing from the U.S. President Donald Trump. The Democrats were quick to follow, pushing for new redrawn maps in the blue states to tilt the congressional majority in their favor for the November midterm elections. The Trump and his Republican Party are looking to keep the control of the congressional chambers with substantial focus on the House of Representatives. Currently, the Republicans just meet the majority mark with 217 representatives of the party and one independent congressional lawmaker, helping them to reach the halfway mark. The Democrats have got about 212 seats to their name and 5 vacancies in the lower house. All right, now joining us all the way from Chicago, we've got Mr. Christopher Hale, who's a Democrat strategist. His work for Presidents Barack Obama and Joe Biden in the White House and on the campaign trail. Thank you very much indeed for joining us here on WION, Mr. Hale. Now, let me in fact start off by asking you this. The fact that the entire focus is going to be on the redistricting of these states, do you think this is actually going to play on the minds of the voters? Because clearly both the Republican Party and also the Democrats are trying to redraw the maps of their respective states to try and gain an advantage. Do you think the American people will not see through this?
You know, I think that at the end of the day, the American people care about the issues closest to their lives. I have found in my work experience that that really pocketbook issues tend to win the day. My party in 2024 famously tried to run on the January 6th insurrection, which we thought was a grave threat to democracy, thought was a profound affront to the democratic rule. But voters don't tend to be as theoretical, unfortunately. They don't care about what they might call more esoteric issues. So why this is happening, I do think that this tit for tat, I wish that voters would punish redistricting. I'm from Tennessee originally, and we've seen an incredible gerrymandering effort from the Republican Party. But we find, unfortunately, it doesn't necessarily motivate voters as much as you'd want. I think the best chance for my party going forward into the November elections is really talking about the high prices that have dominated this presidency and actually dominated Joe Biden's presidency as well.
Right.
President Trump said he would fix it on day one, and of course, we haven't gotten that.
At this moment, because of the Iran war, because of the inflation having gone up substantially and oil prices through the roof, some would say that Donald Trump and the Republicans are on a sticky wicket, and the Democrats should be sensing their opportunity. But by trying to do what the Republicans are doing, are you not giving the initiative back to the Republicans? Because now people will turn around and say, this is exactly what the Republicans are doing, and they're not going hammer and tongs on a strategy where the Democrats should have taken the message to the people saying that Trump came on the ticket to make America great again, but he's taking America into another, probably forever foreign war.
I think that's a very fair critique. We saw that our redistricting efforts in Virginia, and particularly, just failed miserably. We won at the ballot box, but we didn't win the courts. I do think that it makes sense for the party to fight back. You don't want to just simply lie down while the states are being redistricted left and right. But I do think, as you say rightly, that we really need to pivot and start talking about this war. What I have found remarkably about this war is this is the one issue that is really dividing President Trump's base as well. There's significant parts of the MAGA contingent who took, as you mentioned, the promise of no more foreign entanglements in the Middle East. And so I would strongly suggest my party, I think we are doing it, pivot away from this talk about redistricting, pivot from these legal battles over single seats, and really start hammering this message home. We have opportunities too. I will say this. I think in Texas in particular, Republicans might have overplayed their hand on redistricting, and some of those districts that were drawn to be Republican maps, I think, are in play. And so I hope that we take advantage of that.
All right. We'll have to see as to how this unfolds. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Christopher Hale, for joining us from Chicago and getting us those insights. Thank you very much. All right, now staying on with news from the United States, the White House has launched a new website which it calls aliens.gov. Now, in reality, this website that goes by the name aliens.gov is actually talking about illegal, that is undocumented immigrants who have crossed over into American territory. The site reflects numbers that are shared by the Trump administration in terms of the arrests that have been made so far. The website has a very eerie, extraterrestrial look. The first sentence reads, and I quote, "They walk among us." The entire description appears as if the White House is talking about aliens from outer space, the extraterrestrials. But the site, believe it or not, is actually talking about these illegal, undocumented immigrants who've crossed over into the United States. The introduction then goes on to give credit to Donald Trump as the first American president to take action on the matter of immigration. Now, going further down, the site has a number that just keeps increasing by the second. At the moment, it has crossed over 3 million encounters in the U.S. Further below, there is a map of the U.S. with states and areas that have been marked out where federal agents have made arrests so far. The website released by the White House has come amidst Donald Trump's push to close down borders and to deport all illegal immigrants from the United States of America. When Trump was sworn in for his second term, the Republican leader had said that he would carry out the largest deportation in American history. However, this website, which likens human immigrants to literal aliens from outer space, has received a fair bit of backlash. Much like the anti-ICE protests across the United States of America, thousands of protesters, rights organizations, activists, and even the Democrat lawmakers have lashed out against the manner in which the authorities are cracking down on the immigrants in the United States. All right, now joining us on the broadcast, we've got our correspondent Susan Tehrani, who's joining us live from New York. Susan, Donald Trump has a very good sense of humor. And this website, aliens.gov, what's happened with the messaging here to talk about undocumented immigrants as if they are these extraterrestrial aliens that Hollywood talks about so much? Why equate the two of them?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I will say, Mohammed, never a dull day when it comes to dealing with this White House for sure. So, aliens, another meaning for aliens is, those who are here undocumented or they come from another country, illegal aliens, and then you have legal aliens. I think perhaps the messaging here, the White House realized how much interest there is when President Trump says that he was going to release files regarding the extraterrestrial aliens, that they thought that perhaps this website would garner so much attention just because of the play of words. On the other hand, one has to wonder whether or not it's going to backfire ultimately, considering the fact that, immigration is such a sensitive issue right now. But we are going to the midterms, and one thing's for sure, the White House constantly believes that their successes aren't being touted the way they wanted to in the mainstream media. So they decide to put this out, hoping to show that, how they've worked on border security compared to the previous administration. Because when it comes to immigration, it's very polarized right now, the way the Trump administration is handling it. But when it comes to border security and how they've been able to secure the border, the majority of Americans support it. But again, it depends on who you are, which side you're on. Some find it extremely distasteful. Others find it extremely clever. And, what they say if they're talking about you, then you're doing something right. That's definitely something that President Trump feels like is true when it comes to him. Good or bad, if he's in the news and they're talking about him, he sees that as a win. We'll wait and see whether or not this website it really is a win.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Susan Tehrani, for joining us with those updates then. All right, now there are fresh political battles that are being ignited in Washington as former U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi is headed for the Capitol Hill for a high-stakes appearance before the lawmakers over the handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. The questions over delays, reductions and survivor privacy are now back in sharp focus. The Pam Bondi is set to face some pretty tough questions from the House Oversight Committee over how the Justice Department handled the release of documents linked to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The closed-door appearance comes months after the lawmakers subpoenaed Pam Bondi during the growing criticism over the delayed release of the controversial Epstein files. Congress had set a December deadline for the Justice Department to release the records connected to the Epstein probe, but the department has only released the files just weeks later, triggering backlash from both the Democrats and the survivors. Pam Bondi has also defended the department's actions, saying that the officials were dealing with millions of pages under intense time pressure and that legal guidelines were followed throughout the process. The controversy deepened after Pam Bondi initially skipped a scheduled deposition. The Justice Department argued that because she was no longer serving as the Attorney General, the original subpoena no longer applied. And that sparked outrage amongst the Democrats, who moved to hold her in civil contempt before the negotiations eventually led to Friday's testimony. The renewed scrutiny has also come at a very politically sensitive moment, as reports suggest that Pam Bondi was recently appointed by President Trump to an advisory role on artificial intelligence policies.
The district court lacks authority to enter nationwide hand-in-hand.
The Karnataka's Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar, widely seen as the front runner to succeed the outgoing Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, has said that no decision has been taken regarding the next Chief Minister of Karnataka. This despite the outgoing Chief Minister having named Shivakumar as his successor in a press briefing. Earlier in the day, Shivakumar arrived at the Karnataka Bhavan in New Delhi with key talks with the top Congress leaders on the state's next leadership arrangement. Now, D.K. Shivakumar held two meetings with the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge at his residence. Within a span of 3 hours, the Congress leader Rahul Gandhi was also present. When asked as to who will be the new Chief Minister or what the cabinet composition will look like, Shivakumar has said that the party high command's call is going to be final.
That day, Mr. Venugopal has clearly said that we have discussed. We will announce the list along with the other states. That is the information what I have got. And they have taken various opinions from us. they will inform you later. It is not my domain, so it is a high command decision. We just give them the suggestion, that's all. Apart from that, nothing.
Now, Siddaramaiah, who was also in New Delhi and met with the Congress leader Rahul Gandhi and the Congress president Mallikarjun Kharge. The meeting was seen as part of talks on Karnataka's leadership transition and Shivkumar's future role, amid speculation over a cabinet reshuffle in the state. The Karnataka Congress Legislature Party has called for a meeting on the 30th of May in Bengaluru to discuss the leadership transition, and the meeting will be chaired by Siddaramaiah. The Karnataka Governor Tawarchand Gehlot has accepted Siddaramaiah's resignation, will now continue as a caretaker chief minister until a successor is appointed. Siddaramaiah tendered his resignation on the 28th of May to the governor's special secretary in Gehlot's absence, and according to reports, the Congress leadership is now exploring multiple options to try and placate Siddaramaiah. One proposal reportedly involves appointing him as the Karnataka Congress president, while inducting his son Yatinder into the state cabinet. Another option under discussion is moving Siddaramaiah to national politics through a Rajya Sabha berth and later positioning him as the leader of opposition in the Rajya Sabha. However, Siddaramaiah has expressed his wish to stay in state politics. In a historic and symbolic move, France's National Assembly has voted unanimously to repeal Code Noir, or the Black Code, ending the legal existence of one of the darkest remnants of the country's colonial past. The vote passed with 254-0, with lawmakers across party lines backing the repeal. The centuries-old law that was introduced under King Louis XIV in 1685, the Black Code, had laid down the rules governing slavery in France's overseas colonies. The law had classified enslaved people as movable property, and it granted legal protection to slave owners. Its 60 articles regulated nearly all aspects of enslaved life, including labor, punishment, marriage, and religion. Some clauses even permitted brutal punishment, mutilation, and the sale of enslaved individuals as commodities. Although France has officially abolished slavery in 1848, the Black Code was never formally removed from the French law. And President Emmanuel Macron recently acknowledged that the law should have never survived the abolition of slavery. Macron also said that the country's silence on the issue for nearly 2 centuries had become a form of offense. He further stated that France should not reject discussions around reparations for slavery, while cautioning against making what he called false promises. The debate in the parliament was highly emotional, especially for lawmakers from France's overseas territories, whose ancestors were enslaved.
Permettez-moi de remercier ma maman. Aujourd'hui est un pas supplémentaire.
This bill does not claim either to erase history or, on its own, to heal the wounds of history. 25 years after the Taubira Law, which recognizes the slave trade and slavery as crimes against humanity, it aims to take a further step, to take a powerful step of remembrance, justice and recognition by formally repealing the Code Noir and all the texts deriving from it.
Et d'où je viens. Et permettez-moi de remercier ma maman.
Now, in a first-of-its-kind move, Nepal's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has invited applications from eligible citizens for ambassadorial and permanent representational posts, a step that can be described as a shift towards a more open selection process for the country's diplomatic appointments. Now, the government has published a 7-page terms of reference outlining the process. Under the terms, the ambassadorial post is equivalent to a gazetted special class position with a 4-year tenure. Eligible applicants must hold a postgraduate degree in fields such as international relations, political science, law, economics, or public administration. Now, along with specialized training in diplomacy, international trade, or multilateral negotiations, candidates are also expected to have some significant leadership experience in senior roles across government, diplomatic, corporate, NGO or public service. The sectors with a strong record in bilateral or multilateral negotiations, treaty making or international legal frameworks. The applicants must not be listed on any government of Nepal or international blacklist. The applicants must be Nepali citizens aged 35 years. The deadline for the application is the 5th of June. And this move comes amidst an ongoing debate over whether ambassadorial appointments should be made through open competition or should be reserved for experts and experienced individuals. And our correspondent Saloni Murarka has been tracking the story very closely for us and has sent us this report from Kathmandu. Listen in.
Nepal is attempting to change the way it appoints its ambassadors. For the first time in Nepal's history, the government has opened ambassadorial application process to public and has also imposed stricter rules for who can qualify for the post. This comes at a time when over 15 embassies and missions abroad are running without an ambassador, and many more are going to fall vacant in the coming months. Many supporters from the former diplomatic community and experts have welcomed this decision, saying that this process could bring some transparency and professionalism. However, there is skepticism as well. Many of the critics say that traditionally the ambassadorial appointments have been influenced by party connections or party loyalty. And despite these new rules, the final decision still falls in the hands of the government. So there are concerns. However, this new framework looks good on the paper, but there are concerns that if the government will follow the merit-based standards. I'm Saloni Murarka, reporting for WION from Kathmandu, Nepal.
Now, India's leader of opposition, Rahul Gandhi, was seen lunching with auto drivers in the capital. The Congress leader, in fact, discussed livelihood issues faced by drivers in the sweltering summers that have posed a huge challenge. Take a look at these images.
करते नजर आ रहे हैं, हालांकि उनकी क्या समस्याएं हैं वो जानते नजर आ रहे हैं। आपकी तस्वीरें जो हैं तो दम काफी तरीके से
And without its wrap on this edition of Race to Power, this is Mohammed Saleh signing off. Thanks for watching.
In this rapidly changing world, is your health keeping pace? Best practices and breakthroughs busting the hype with real insights. The timeless power of yoga and ancient healing. Good food, good mood. Small steps, big impact. Your health matters. Only on WION World is One. Because nothing matters more.
It's the perfect way to give the opportunity to Gujaratis, to Ahmedabadians, to come and experience Sri Lanka with the direct connectivity.
It's a $1.3 billion investment from our company for the Indian market.
Tourism will only grow where direct flights are. And we've seen that over the years. Every time any country asks us, how do we grow tourism? The first thing we tell them is have more flights or have direct flights.
Ahmedabad is the biggest market for tourism. We have 1,500 crore rupees of outbound business from only in Gujarat.
South Korea is embracing AI in filmmaking. But what does it mean for its stories? Malayalam cinema is riding high on sequels. But what about its stars? Fjord scores a big win at Cannes, but will it dominate the Oscars? All this and much more with me, Diksha Bisla, on WION at these times.
The security checklist your phone needs. Drones moving at blistering